Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's been in good spirits and everything's going well with you. I decided to do this, talk about this because it needs to be talked about. I'm sure everyone has been hearing about all the crazy things that are happening in the world, like the scandal in Hollywood. I'm not really going to touch too long on that because we probably already knew, some of us already knew what was going on, and it shouldn't have been allowed to happen, especially to little children. And so what I hope is that the victims get their justice and help, and their tormentors receive their penalty. Everyone involved, whoever that may be. If that takes out the whole Holly, we don't have another star, singer, rapper, dancer left, to lock them all up. That's how I feel. Today, what I want to really talk about is the justice that the justice we receive as a people is very little or none at all. People are debating back and forth about the Jamon McGee case, blaming bloggers for putting out false information, or just, not really investigating. But what I can say, all I can say is, if it wasn't for them, the story wouldn't have gotten out, and possibly a young innocent man would have been unalived, and everything would have been swept under the rug, as usual. I don't know what happened to him. I'm hoping that the investigation comes out and gives his family, closure, whichever way that it will go. I just feel like we should all be tired and up in an uproar that we can just be picked off the street and unalived for no reason. This has been going on since after slavery days, when we were so-called free. They could just pick you up and decide that they want to hang you from a tree and put out blankets and have families eating, watching a person hang. This is where picnic came from. If you want to look that up, be my guest. So there has been so many of our young black men, older black men, have been put unalive by the police or racist men, and it continues. It doesn't seem like, there's no stopping. They don't feel like there is any repercussions for what they do. It's probably a hidden secret, or don't tell the outside that they don't care if you do it. If you get caught, depends on how they catch you. If you have you on camera, I don't know, but try not to get caught, and so we can say something that he was, black. He was being aggressive, because that's what black men are, aggressive. That's how they try to make them seem. So if anything happens to them, it's their fault. I've always believed that the enslavers were in fear of the black man because of his stature and he much larger and much stronger. So in order to keep them from all getting together and possibly taking the slave owner and down, they tried whatever they could to keep that man's spirits or make him feel weak or whatever. But this has been years and just years, and I don't know what people are thinking in their minds, but I don't know. We need to design a plan to protect all of us in this evil place we call society. I know someone's argument might be, well, we're unaliving each other, or they're unaliving themselves, but you can't say because of that we're just not going to do anything about, it has to start somewhere. Maybe if the young men who have decided to go a different way can see that their people are caring and they're trying to make a difference, that could turn them around. But if we just sit down and not do anything and let this continue, what gives them a incentive to change, so what we need to know over the past so many years, I don't know, was it 1914, excuse me. 2014, I'm not sure. But we have had several, until now, we have had several black men and some women taken out by the police. And however, whatever the outcome is, some of us, I don't even know what happened to some of the officers that have done this to these people. They don't tell us, and we just, I don't know, we just forget about it. I suppose that's the word that we would use, but this list is growing. And if we don't stop the list, it's I don't know, I fear what the younger kids are going to end up doing or being treated. Michael Brown, black man who was choked by the police, and this actually started the Black Lives Matter movement. Although there's arguments amongst people in this Black Lives Matter. Some have turned it into a mockery and turned it into something that it wasn't supposed to be. We know all lives matter, but all races of people are not being taken off the street and hung, or not being choked, or not being shot. So someone decided to make up a name to say this needs to stop. We are people too. We built this country. We've been here longer than some others. So regardless of if you like them or not, they're here to stay. and you don't have the right to do anything to them. But they're not getting that in their head because they don't even see us standing together. So we need to come together, stop all of the I don't like you because you have a new car. I don't, whatever it is, the silly nonsense that we go through and try to save. We have another more kids that are growing up. We have, they're just and if they don't see any different, why would they act any different? I'm not, So Eric Garner was killed by the police. They protested. Tamir Rice, who's actually was 12, no known protest. Philander Castile, no known protest. He had actually said to the police, I have a registered gun in the car. And when he went to get it, they shot him. So if I tell you that I have a registered gun, I'm just going to get it, what was your fear? He could have just said, I got my license, and can I get my license, and pulled out that, and he was telling you that he had a gun and he was going to get it. But I don't think they care about any reason, as we see that they care about any reason to take anyone's life. Breonna Taylor, no known protest. Her family did win a lawsuit. Trayvon Martin, now he was not taken out by the police, but you can say it's kind of worse. I guess he was watching the neighborhood and making sure, nothing was going on. But who are the first people that they feel are suspicious? The young black men. This young boy was going to the store, minding his business, who has the right to walk down any street to get him some candy and something to drink. And he was unalived. Now, first thing I know is that when he called the police, they told him not to follow the young man. So by that, anyway, he should have been, if they tell him not to follow him, then none of this, he would still be alive today. But he took it upon himself to try and confront him and, ask him what he's doing, and, and Trayvon didn't feel like he had to tell him anything. I'm minding my business, you mind yours. And then a fight ensued, and his life was taken. Freddie Gray, I don't know if there was any protest for him. George Floyd, and there was a protest, and it was all across the country, and people burned down some places and looted some places and stole and just did all of this. And I don't think that was appropriate. We were trying to honor a man's name who we all watched be unalived in front of our faces. And I don't think the actions of what they were doing, that doesn't bring what other people were trying to state. But people get frustrated and they get tired, and then they do whatever that makes them feel better. But each time that we do, it can be, you get frustrated and you're tired and you just go through the city and you burn things. This is giving them what they're saying. You guys are animals. You don't care nothing about your city. You tear up everything. This is what feeds them. But I understand the frustration amongst people. We just need to find a better way to do things, because obviously this isn't working, because after George Floyd, we've had several more. So I don't think that's working. They obviously don't care about stuff being blown up or caught on fire because they have insurance, or they'll just film it and then show the whole world what they mean, what they were saying about black people, because they try to make other countries feel the same way about us that they do. So I don't know. Well, I'm pretty sure everybody remembers Tyree Nichols. He was beaten to death by 5 black officers. And the reason why I think this was not the worst thing that I've ever seen, but I just feel like that was their intention. They beat him and stood him back up and beat him again, and they were laughing and taking pictures, and I don't know the reason why. Maybe because he made them chase him. I don't know what the reason why, because one thing I will say, if the police have to chase you, they're going to do something to you. There's something about you running away from the police. I guess they feel they're in authority and you're supposed to obey what they say. But every time I've seen someone run away from the police, they are either hit or something. The man was begging for his life and just calling out, and they had no mercy for this man. So they're just as bad, and I hope they get whatever sentence or whatever punishment is coming to them. They probably thought when they got on the police force, they were like one of the guys. They didn't look at their color was blue, and so they thought they were special. They were one of the guys. Well, now they find out that you were one of y'all's guys, because they'll probably get more of a sentence than anybody who's unalived a person on the street. So you can think that they're accepting you, or you're one of the good ones, or you're one of the better ones. That's not true. They don't like you either, and if they could, they would get rid of you too. Sonia Massey, the outcome, I don't know. I think maybe that it's still in investigation, I would hope. What I seen was a violation. The woman was in her house, minding her own business, and 2 officers knocked on her door, and she said, everything was fine, and they were acting like, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and leave. But for some reason, one decided that they needed to go in, and it went downhill from that. I think he was being disrespectful to her and getting her riled up. Like, she knew this was her house, but she felt like she had to comply with what they were saying, and she also was scared, and that's why she wanted her Bible, because she was afraid. Now, they told her to go and turn off the pot. If you wanted her, if you were talking to her and you go and turn off the pot. Why did you make her get up and turn it off? Some people said she threw the water at him. Some people say she was just trying to put the pot down. Regardless of what she did, even if she did throw the water, this man said, "I'm going to shoot you in the face." So he took that, however long it took for him to get those words out. He could have been backing up, out the way. And that's exactly what he did. He shot her in the face. Then he wanted to tell his partner he had to leave. I know he knew he did something wrong, but for him to have the audacity to say, I gotta leave, I have something to take care of. And his partner was like, no, you're gonna have to stay here. So yeah, he didn't feel her life was worth anything. He didn't feel that, he did anything wrong. And it was kind of funny when the man came in and asked him where was the gun. He said it wasn't gun, it was hot water. And they kind of looked at him like, hot water. But like I said, I don't know what has become of that case. So maybe I'll look up all the police officers and see what has happened to them since they've done what they've done. Excuse me. But what I find still alarming is that in the past 12 months, 1,173 people have been unalived by the police. They're not stopping. Just some of them don't get, the national attention that others do, but they're not stopping. And evidently they're not going to stop. This is just a modern day lynching. Like, back in the day, you could, like I said, you could take a black man and lynch him and for no reason, and just don't have a trial, jury, or anything. So I think what the police are doing is because they can't just shoot you anymore, they make up things, so they can't. Oh, he pulled a gun. Oh, I thought he had a gun and it was his cell phone. He was running and I thought he turned around and was pointing a gun at me, so I shot him. And then they get away with it. So it's just like a modern day lynching. And from 1882, I believe 1882 is when the lynching, they still did lynching, but they went in also into just, shooting people. And that was 4,743 black people were lynched. Not a trial, a judge, nor a jury. They could just take you out of your home because some woman said that you looked at her, or some woman said you were whatever. And I'm just saying that she said it There was no witnesses. There was nothing. And they will take you without any, like I said, judge or jury, and hang you, taking you away from your family, your kids, your wife. That has to be the most horrible thing in the world. I couldn't imagine how Emmett Till, who was a 14-year-old boy, felt as these men drug him out of his uncle's house and took him up into a barn, and they beat him and they cut off things on his body. This was a 14-year-old child, and there was no one there to help him. Now, there was black people there, black men there, but of course, in their minds, if I don't go along with it, or if I try to help him, they're going to do the same thing to me. So that just bothers me, that he was all alone. His mom wasn't there. He couldn't, I'm sure he screamed out for his mom, but his uncle, he couldn't do anything, or and so they continued this, beating him and cutting things off of him for a while, and then they finally decided to shoot him in the head and wrap a big commercial fan, I guess, around his neck, and then throw him into the river, because one of their wives said that he whistled at her. I don't, that's why I have a fear. I cannot go down south, because how do you, just like oh, I'm forgetting his name, but just like he traveled down there, and I don't know if he's been there before, but you don't know what goes on. You don't know how you're supposed to behave or act when you're in these kind of towns, because mainly you're not free, but mainly certain things don't happen up north than what they do down south. So if you're there, you don't know if whatever you do, you might cause you to be in danger. And that young man was by himself. He didn't have his family there. He couldn't turn to anybody, and I don't know what happened to him. I hope that they do find the truth, and either way, we lost another young black man, and it's sad because we lose several in 1 month. They're just, and it seems like I said, we either protest or tear up the city or whatever, and then it's over. We don't remember who's until the next time. We should have been done with George Floyd. There should have been a committee set up of people from the community, people from the White House, people from the legislature, people from all over. Because for us to sit and watch this man put his knee on his neck until he passed away with a smirk on his face, we've seen that. Some the other ones, you just heard about. Some of them you've seen the bits and pieces, but we watched him literally. We watched him, the breath going out of that man's body, literally in front of us, in front of everybody who watched that. And so what should have been on our minds is, no, this can't happen anymore. This is not, you can't do this to us, and we're not going to stand for it. Now, I don't believe in violence. I don't believe in, I don't know what I'm saying, but it seems like the only way some people learn is if it's an eye for an eye, and but that probably would cause more problems. But I don't know all the answers. Maybe somebody else has an idea that would deter them from just thinking they can, because the thing is, they'll stop you. There is possibly something that's going to happen when they decide to just stop you for no reason. So, their whole routine is to see if your car smells like marijuana, when marijuana is legal in most of the states. So I still don't understand that. And then they are hoping that you get rowdy or get loud or get, so they can take you to jail or do whatever they want to you. And it's not fair. You have to be afraid every time your son or someone that you love is out in the streets. You don't know if they're ever going to make it home. And I'm sure that Javon's parents was never thinking that they was not going to see their son ever again. But I had thought, for some people, like when the truckers who, have to drive to different areas. Are of all, if you're the owner of the trucking company, you should have, and the people are helping you and they're doing their job, and I don't think you should send people of color to that. You should give them those assignments to someone else, because what could possibly happen there, and you're sending them there, and for what? I'm sure you have plenty of other truckers that you could send down there. I don't know why people haven't thought of, or maybe they have thought of coming up with a flyer, booklet, whatever, that tells people that have to go to these places where not to go, where not to eat, what side of town not to be on, maybe to be in your hotel room at a certain hour, just stay there until it's time for you to leave. That can eliminate some of the stuff. And that goes for traveling nurses, or anyone who travels. FEMA, people from FEMA or wherever. They, if they don't know how you act in that town, you could go there, and just by you not moving to let someone walk, you get in the street so someone can walk on the sidewalk, because you didn't. Why would you think that's still, because that's what they did back then. When they walked down the sidewalk, we had to, jump down and get in the street. So if they don't know that, that can possibly cause, problems, because believe it or not, there are states down south. I've heard of some place in Texas that is still segregated, but that's how they like it. Black people stay on their side and the white people stay on their side. And if that's how they like it, that's fine. But if you're coming there and you don't know, well, hopefully you don't go there unless you have a family member. You wouldn't know that you're not supposed to go, you're not supposed to go over there. You have to stay over here. So, yeah. They need to be known about sundown towns. And that's their sport, because if they catch you in their town after the sunset, you're not going to make it out. You're not going to make it out of that town. Some people might not ever know what happened to you, and life goes on. But we need to try and come up with ideals to help one another. I mean, they could tell their drivers a safer route to go, if possible, and things they may need in case they're stranded. Keep your a weapon with you, if possible. Some people go ahead and go along and drive with their friend or boyfriend or whatever while they're doing their dropping stuff off. And I know everybody can't do that, and they can't do it every time, but that would help. Protect yourself at all times. Don't, I know there's friendly people, but sometimes you just can't go up and just talk to people. They don't want you to talk to them. And so that could cause an issue. And don't entertain extracurricular activity, if you know what I mean by that, because even though that goes on in different places, you don't know if where you're at, they still look at it like you're harming one of their women, one of them, and so that can cause harm to anybody. Or if you're just vacationing, you need to know all the, where you go or what you do, and how you're supposed to, I hate to say the word, but like how you're supposed to act, you're supposed to act like yourself. But I know that in order for you to survive, you might have to change your ways or change something, and it deep down inside, it makes you feel less than, or makes you feel, and I can understand that, but either you don't go to those places, or you find out what is acceptable there. I know that there are police officers who love to harass and stalk people. I can't understand why it's so, how people got to the point that unaliving another person it's not even personal. It's just something, like you don't have any kind of feeling about it, that you can just take them out and just go home to your wife and kids, and then possibly do it again in a couple of months. It's like there's no, like we're not human. Like if they take one of us out, it's like, oh well, we're just doing our people a justice, because these people, they see us as just out of line, or just unruly, or whatever. But you brought some of us here, and if you didn't want us here, some of us were already here. You shouldn't have brought us. I mean, I truly believe that if slavery if it hadn't ended, I think when they felt that, we did enough building up the United States, that there was going to be some people that they would let stay, but the others were going to go, because them, you reproduce, and now they let you reproduce if you were on their farm or in their plantation, because that's more slaves for them. But after slavery, they didn't want you to reproduce, because that means at some time we could outnumber them. So I believe that they probably let a couple of women stay to, cook and clean for them or whatever, and a couple of men to handle their hard jobs. But just in my mind, I feel like we were temporary. They weren't going to keep us, around. But I hope that people become aware and just start looking at things and following things, and understand if something doesn't happen, there's not going to be what are we going to look like in a few years? What's going to happen to the babies that are born this year? Will they still be attacked and dealing with racism when they're grown? It's been going on for years. I don't know if people feel like we just should accept it, because we shouldn't accept it. Not at all. I know in the Bible, God doesn't say that he only loves a certain race, or he only protects a certain race. That's not what he says. He loves everyone, and we are just as important and belong here just as well as anybody else. But first of all, we need to clean up our yards, and until we do that, things aren't going to change. So I just pray that, we just get tired, say we're not gonna let this happen anymore. It's we don't need to fight and argue over this. This is because it doesn't belong to you. They'll take you and put you in jail for 900 years, and then you have nothing. But if you're spending your time writing to the legislators, standing in meetings and not letting them, because a lot of Black people don't go to those kind of meetings. You need to go to the school board meetings, because if you're not there, they can turn the whole curriculum around, and you won't know until your kid comes home and says they were learning about flags and stuff. So you just need to know decide what's more important. Saving our babies, saving saving us, or just working and having all the nice things in life and just going on. It just doesn't seem like a fulfilled life to me if you just were here just to work and then buy stuff, because I'm sure that's what happened to Diddy. he got to the point where he had so much money that it was eating him alive. Like the devil, he enjoys greed, and when you love money, because he doesn't have to work that hard to get you. So did he thought his money could pay for anything, it could get him out of anything, and it's funny the timing, because and how people knew that was going to happen in 2024, but what you do in the dark does come out in the light. And I'm just so appalled that these people were touching babies, children. And some, I have to say it, and some parents I know knew and just let their kids go. And it's horrible. But all of us live in different cities or whatever. I think it only takes one person to start, something, and then it trickles down. And so if everyone or a couple of people in their little town, city, in their big city comes up with some ideal that we can try to, keep us safe, like I think that would be a start. I had thought of an ideal about trying to hit them in their pockets, but I don't think we would be able to get everyone on board to shop at only Black-owned stores, not to go to their restaurants and movie theaters and in anything. Shut them down. Martin Luther King did it. Look, if you continue to treat our people like this, we're not going to get anything from you. We're not going to take anything from you. And of course, when it hits them in their pockets, that's the only thing they care about. So that was an ideal that I thought, but I don't know. I'm sure there's other people who can think of stuff, or who can just go out and do it. You don't even, some people don't have time or whatever. Just you make a change in somebody or something. You go out and help someone, or but therefore the grace of God go I. It could be any of us, any of our children. It could be anyone. So, you just need to look at it like that. Well, that's all I have for today. I thank you for listening. I hope everyone is being blessed, and I will see you next time.